All right, a video here to announce that I'm starting a new reading project, which is, sorry, I know this camera is showing everything in mirror image, but it's the Histories by Herodotus, translated by Tom Holland. So, for a long time, I've been feeling guilty now that I've never read Herodotus, especially because I was interested in ancient history at a young age, in middle school and high school, and the first couple years of college. I was really interested in ancient history. Then I changed my interest to more modern history, but I've always had a fondness for ancient history. Um, and I've known about Herodotus since, I don't know, since middle school or something like that. And I kind of can't believe that I never got around to reading him in all these years. I mean, it's a bit of a daunting book, and he's got a reputation which I've been aware of for years of just going off on all these tangents. Um, but yeah, I mean, he is the father of history. I don't know why really I never got around to reading it. I mean, to be somewhat fair to myself, I did read some of the ancient books when I was a youngster. Well, I read the Bible, if that counts, as part of the daily devotions. I read the Iliad and the Odyssey and the Aeneid. Um, I started a whole bunch of ancient books that I never actually finished, like the Post Homerica by what's Quintus of Cernia or something like that. And I started Livy and then stopped, and I started Tacitus and then stopped. I was more interested in Roman history than Greek history, which is why I attempted Livy and Tacitus. Uh, and one of these days, actually, I should really go back and try Livy and Tacitus again. I remember them being perfectly readable. It was just I lost interest after a while, but they were perfectly readable. Um, but yeah, for I've been meaning now for years to go back. Well, not go back to read this book and finally cross off my reading list. I've been in Asia for all of my adult life, teaching English in Japan, Cambodia, and Vietnam, which has limited my access to books. Limited my access to books. I still get books out of here, but the selection is limited. So I think for about 10 years now I've been meaning to read this, but I had been told just by reading on the internet that you want the landmark Herodotus. The landmark edition is according to people on the internet, it's great for all its maps, and apparently you really want the maps if you're reading Herodotus. People on the internet also complain that the binding is not great on the Landmark series. Apparently, the binding falls apart fairly easily, but it's got all these really great maps. And so I was like, okay, well, wait until I can finally get my hands on a copy of the Landmark series, which you don't find out in Asia. Um, and then Tom Holland had translated a copy of Herodotus. Tom Holland is a historian, a popular historian. I read his book Rubicon, and really enjoyed how well it was written. It was mostly stuff I already knew, but it was just written in a really exciting style. He's a great. He's one of those historians who's a great storyteller. His translation of Herodotus has been either criticized or praised for being in a very colloquial style. Some people feel that it's so colloquial that it loses the flavor. Um, so I don't know if I should have gone with a more traditional translation or whatever, but I have ambitions to be. I have ambitions to read more than I do. I say that every year, But if I become a person who is able to read more books every year, then maybe before I die, I can read two different versions of Herodotus. Go back someday and read a different one by a different translator. But anyways, this is Tom Holland's translation, and it's supposed to be easy to read, which is good for somebody like me who gets intimidated easily. And it does have maps in the back. I don't know, these people on Amazon reviews and stuff like that who swear up and down that you absolutely need the landmark version if you're going to read Herodotus. And I don't know what they would make of the maps in this one. If it's considered enough maps, it's probably not. But in my previous experience trying to read ancient history, I've learned sometimes you just don't know where a place is when you're reading through the narrative. You just have to imagine that they're marching to some place, and if you can't find it on a map, you can still follow the general storyline. So maybe that's what I'll be doing. So yeah, a book. Oh right. Sorry, I was going to wrap it up, but actually I'll include another detail, which is how long this book has been sitting on my shelf. I think I bought this way back in 2017, and has been sitting on my shelf since then, meaning to get around to it. And I finally decided that now is the time I'm going to get around to it. I also, when I was back in the U.S. in 2019, picked up the Peloponnesian War. This is this isn't one of the ancient sources. This is by somebody who's still living, Donald Kagan. But I was thinking these two would go together, but just haven't gotten around to them. This has been sitting on my shelf since 2017. Since 2019. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try and get these read. So this one first, and then move on to this one. So yeah, next reading project, Herodotus.